Hi everyone, my name is Marina and I am going to be starting off our presentation on the COVID-19 experience. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the societal impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the college rodeo community. College rodeos were some of the first to be canceled in March 2020 when the impending pandemic came down upon us. There were a lot of other events that were not originally canceled as early as our college rodeos were, but we were advised that we were not going to have the rest of our season. And so, of course, Cal Poly Rodeo ended up shutting down. Everybody went home, as well as the entire campus was shut down. And this was really hard on our program. We lost all of our funding for our big rodeo, Poly Royal, in the spring, as well as a lot of the scholarship money that we give to our students. There were a lot of people in the rodeo community who really did not believe that COVID-19 was a serious threat and just saw it as another infectious disease wave that would pass, which we obviously know to not be the truth now. Transitioning to online school was really tough for a lot of our team members, but it did allow for more time for people to go out and rodeo professionally. This was something that wasn't necessarily attainable if you attended Cal Poly before, because we do pride ourselves on our academic achievement, and we were constantly in the classroom and in the practice pen. So there's not a whole lot of time to go out and rodeo professionally. But with the transition to online school, this was something that was newly presented to a lot of us, and there were much more opportunities to rodeo. The community is very visibly split on their beliefs about the COVID-19 pandemic now. There are many people who, again, don't believe that COVID-19 is a serious threat and that it's just another infectious disease. And there are also a lot of people who believe that COVID-19 is a serious threat and it's something that we should be actively working to stop. So in fall 2020, when Cal Poly remained online, Cal Poly Rodeo was one of the only sports that was approved to practice. We received a lot of criticism from others within the school and the community for continuing to practice in person, despite testing 2 times a week, social distancing, masking, etc. And we know that Cal Poly saw our rodeos as a liability. They're large gatherings of people without masks enforced, without distancing enforced, etc. So one of the loopholes that we found was that the region decided to host our rodeos during our spring break, as it was a time that Cal Poly was not liable for its students. But all in all, students and coaches have worked around testing, mask mandates, distancing mandates, etc., to have a really successful season again. We put on a very short season last year in the spring, comprised of 10 compact rodeos that we were able to put on, and we've been hosting a really successful season this year. So
I want to start off by talking a little bit about the current state of COVID-19 at Cal Poly. I think the major thing to note is that we're still very much in the middle of a pandemic. I know a lot of us like to talk about COVID like it's something that happened in the past or something that we already made it through, but the fact of the matter is that while we know a lot more about the virus than we did in March of 2020, there's still a lot we don't know about the various variants that are popping up, like the Omicron variant that's been in the news a lot lately. And that's why it's important that everyone on campus does their part in keeping each other safe, whether that means following mask requirements and wearing your mask indoors and in your classes, or completing your daily symptom screener every day. So now I want to talk about how the pandemic has shaped me personally and my future goals. Over the past year and a half, I found myself becoming a lot more interested in the medical and healthcare system and potentially pursuing a career in that. And that's why when I came back to campus in September, I applied for the PHL program. What PHL stands for is Public Health Liaison. This is one of the new teams at the health center that they started up in response to the COVID-19 virus. It's just basically what it is a peer-to-peer outreach program that tries to stop transmission of the virus on campus. And basically what we do is we're a team of students that walks around campus giving out PPE, personal protective equipment, like masks and sanitizer, free of charge. And we also just act as a resource for students if they have any questions about Cal Poly's COVID protocol or stuff that the health center is doing, or just, any questions about living a healthy life. And we also, as an added bonus, we also walk around giving prizes like Cal Poly chocolates or Scout gift cards, in case we see anyone who's particularly exemplary at following COVID protocol, wearing their masks, telling their friends to wear a mask, stuff like that. So it's all about positive reinforcement. Everyone loves chocolates, everyone loves gift cards. And these positive feelings are a lot more effective at getting people to follow COVID protocols and wearing their mask and maintaining healthy habits than trying to enforce these policies like a cop may. Positive reinforcement, whether it be in the classroom or during COVID, is research has shown that's always better than negative reinforcement. This program has been super beneficial to me because I think it confirmed that I definitely want to help other people. Like if there is a pandemic in the future, I would love to be on the front lines helping, those who might be disproportionately affected by the virus and those who may be underprivileged when it comes to accessing competent and good healthcare.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron, here to talk about the impacts of COVID on clubs in Cal Poly. Clubs help provide a sense of community and belonging to people who attend Cal Poly. This is especially true for people who are far away from home or just attending Cal Poly for the first time. However, this sense of community was swiftly taken away during the global pandemic. Because of this, clubs had to find a new way of coming together. The most common mediums in which people came together were Zoom, Discord, and FaceTime. Club sports had to transition into esports or video games. Icebreakers typically held in general meetings were subjugated to Zoom breakout rooms. Musical clubs, because they can practice in person, had to record their own parts and send it to each other. And then industry mixers were also then held virtually. However, as we began to learn more about the pandemic and restrictions began to loosen, there became a hybrid model. So general meetings would still be held virtually. However, there would be weekend events that would be held outdoors. And then these events would all be masked and following all CDC guidelines. Some examples of this was picnicking at the Cal Poly Arboretum, hiking Madonnas or Bishops, or just going to the beach. However, now through the help of vaccinations, masking, and consistent testing, most clubs are now fully in person following CDC guidelines. In my case, I'm in JSA, which is the Japanese Student Association. We actually have the most club participation in club history. I think this is due for everyone being itching to going outside and finally having that sense of community once again.
My name is Jennifer Alanis, and for my portion of the presentation, I'm going to be going over how students' mental health was affected throughout the coronavirus pandemic. So far, we've gone through about 15 months of either strictly online school or a hybrid, and we were stuck with doing strictly virtual interactions throughout all of last year, which led to students not receiving enough sunlight throughout the day. Individuals with pre-existing conditions such as anxiety and depression became more likely to fall back into this state of mind. Luckily, professors and employers both began to become a little bit more understanding of these situations and help students get the help that they need. And they were understanding about students having to prioritize their mental health. There was a study conducted by the Monash University Human Research Ethics Committee of Monash University, where they sent out a survey to 9,986 individuals. And there was a lot of criteria that they had to fit in order to be deemed eligible. This study went through June 24th to June 30th of 2020, and approximately half of the people that received the survey participated. Of those that participated, 40.9% of them had mentioned that they had an adverse or mental behavioral condition since the coronavirus pandemic began. And 13% of them actually increased their substance use and suicidal ideologies. The age bracket that was most affected was those between ages 18 and 24, where 74.9% of them had experienced suicidal ideologies within the last 30 days. This could have been due to them being sent home from college and having limited resources, or simply not knowing that they needed to get the help. So moving on with resources, here are some that Cal Poly actually offers. So they have different types of therapy, such as group, individual, or couples therapy that you can do online or in person. There is a little process that you have to go through in order to be matched with a therapist, and then they can help you pretty much a couple times a week. There's the crisis services, which is mainly a hotline. So this is in case of a panic attack, suicidal thoughts, self-harming. If you're being stalked, if you have been abused or assaulted, you can go ahead and use this crisis services hotline. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then something that's a little bit more available to everyone is the emotional well-being workshops. So these are virtual and they have different schedules. So they are offered a couple days a week at a couple different times, and these workshops focus on quick and effective potential solutions to concerns about anxiety, depression, and any issues with relationships that you may be having. So yeah, these are a couple resources that you can use while you're at Cal Poly if you're going through any of these tough situations.